Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting, dynamic episode of Exceptional Living with your host, April Ripley. I'm so excited about today. Well, we created this platform, Exceptional Living, because we wanted to inform, inspire, and ignite the greatness that lives in each and every individual. So our goal is to provide the knowledge and skills that you'll need to live an exceptional life unique to your design and making. And I'm always excited because I want to bring innovators, global thought leaders, and change agents who have in varying fields, from corporate spaces to entrepreneurs to grassroots activists and advocates, who are making a positive impact in their communities, their nation, and the world. And so we're reaching across all borders. There are no borders, to bring these individuals into your life to learn what they have discovered that have helped them to live an exceptional life. And today is no exception. I have two amazing women. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to begin. I'm so excited, as you could probably tell. But let me introduce our first guest. This is Miss Mpume Mabuza. Nompumelelo, affectionately known as Mpume, is currently the CEO of Downtown Music Hub, an inspirational and openly creative space that's located in the heart of Johannesburg, South Africa, and offers cutting-edge recording facilities for pre- and post-production of film, music, and other creative projects. Before joining the Hub, Mpume was the marketing director for Ushaka Marine World and has for over 20 years of management experience, which cuts across financial services, manufacturing, tourism, and creative industries. She's passionate about working with others and to help them achieve results that make a meaningful difference. She's a member of the Institute of Directors of South Africa and currently serves on boards of the African Association of Visitor Experiences and Attractions, Peter Maritzburg YMCA, and Morganite South Africa Limited. She plays the role of chairperson on the latter two boards. Mpume has traveled extensively and participated in group study exchange program in Australia through the Rotary Foundation. Her qualifications include a Bachelor of Commerce and a Master of Business Administration. She is married to Reverend Mpume Mabuza, and they are blessed with 3 children. A lay preacher and an elder, Mpume enjoys reading, travel, gym, and listening to music in her spare time. And after all of these incredible things that I've just read, I know her as sister. As beautiful as she is on the outside, she is even more beautiful on the inside. Mpume, welcome.
Hey, April. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Slindile has been and moved to New York, right in California, at the time working with the South African tourism as a brand ambassador, so promoting and supporting South Africa to the Americas. Slindile, we call her Slee, specializes in helping women in business to recreate their personal brands. She also develops programs to train SMEs, corporations, youth entrepreneurs, and NGOs on marketing and communications, strategic development, leadership skills, brand positioning, and personal development. She's an international speaker, empowering leader, global influencer, and transformer. Slindile graduated from Wits Business School in South Africa in marketing management and advanced management development program with a major in strategic development, and has worked in various executive management roles in the corporate environment for over 2 decades. Doesn't look like it, but Slindile, again, is just a dynamic woman, and I also know her as sister. Incredible as the accomplishments are, I know her as sister and as family. And so I'm happy to welcome you both, Mpume and Slindile, to Exceptional Living. Welcome.
Thank you so much, April. Glad to be here.
I know. So I have to tell people how we met because we were just, I was in one of the interviews talking to a dear sister friend of mine as well. And we were saying that, God is so strategic in how he places people together. And how I met Mpume goes back to how I met Slindile. And that is actually through a mutual friend who the Mavaleses in Johannesburg, who I met through the Masalas in Johannesburg, who I met through Dr. Miles Monroe. Are you guys following this? So Dr. Miles Monroe, who introduced me to the Masalas, who introduced me to the Mavaleses, who said, and I was here in Atlanta, and he said, I have a family member who's in Atlanta. I think you should meet. And, weekends are busy for everyone. And I thought, it's a busy weekend. But if they say I need to meet this woman, then I know that I do. And so I went and we just connected in Mpume, right? From a discussion about life and living. And here we are now I came to South Africa, and then you introduced me to Slindile, and oh my goodness. Okay, so we could be on here for a long time talking about this.
Right.
But I know that, the audience today wants to hear from both of you and are probably wondering why I invited you here, and you will hear just momentarily why. So, Mpume, talk to us about what you think an exceptional life is all about.
It is the moment by moment decisions we take each day to intentionally choose to be governed by love, to live with purpose and integrity, to lead with humility and kindness, as well as live with the awareness of others. That's just in brief what I had for exceptional living.
Oh my goodness, that's the brief. Wow, I told you.
Well, she's not a life coach for nothing.
Exactly, Mpume, she's not, right? To live intentional. Yeah. So that means that then Mpume, we would love intentional, right? Slindile, we would have intentional that we purpose to have. I will say this. I remember my first travel to South Africa, to Durban specifically, Mpume, remember that. And you took me around, and we were in Umhlanga, and we went out to Pietermaritzburg to see Prince Thuli's home, and all these things that, are part of a different, world and experience and culture for me. I was just enamored. I wanted more. The time we had was this much, and I wanted that much. But it's your path to Mpume is very interesting from the corporate space, and again, you're in a different area. Tourism and entertainment and arts. Talk to us a bit about. Did you start off to be into the arts and tourism, or did it just happen to you? Like, what happened? Tell us. Right. I think of like the Olympic circles a bit, like they all have this kind of common joining point. And Slee, for you as well, you're also coming from a bit of history with tourism and marketing, but wow, what you're doing now, like, talk to us about that. It's amazing.
Right. Mine is a unique combination in the sense that I come from a family that was entrepreneurial, believe it or not. And I kind of had a stint in corporate organizations, traveled throughout Africa, and just decided to pursue what it looked like to hear the voice of God when he challenged me to leave everything I know to go to a place that I'd never been to before. And that's how that came about, to actually leave my beautiful April. And you won't believe, and from where I was sitting, in front of me was Kinko's, and to my left was this building. It was this tall building. And I just heard, look up. And I looked and I said, what? And this voice said, you're going to work there. And I said, have you forgotten? Like, I left South Africa. I don't know anyone here. And a little bit after that, I got this phone call asking me if I was looking for a job. And I said yes. And they said, this place wants you to send their resume right away. So I walked across the street, made a copy of my resume, And the building was the one to my left, and it happened to be the South African tourism. And so that's how I ended up working for South African tourism. Just the best job ever, to market my country to Americans. Like, go figure. So that's how I ended up there. And then from there, I just moved over to California, pursued missionary work, traveled to Mozambique and Brazil, and came back to South Africa and decided that I just wanted to so into women entrepreneurs. I have that combination of entrepreneurial, corporate, as well as ministry, which just opens up platforms and doors for me in places that I could never believe. So,
wow, yes, absolutely. But it's interesting how we even connected, right?
right.
With the purpose-driven house in Dumile and meeting her, and here's this woman who was leading the Chamber of Commerce. Now, I know you're in tourism both, so please correct me, but Durban is the largest port city there in South Africa, right? Works in the port, and here she is, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. This is amazing. And in Mpume, that's how Dumile and you connected in this space, and you also did work with the chambers. What do you think have been keys to the path that you have walked thus far? In how can those keys be beneficial to our own journeys of where we are to go moving forward? What things would you say have been, again, essential in your own journey thus far, and your success, and how can they help us in moving forward? And whomever wants to start.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
I love living a life that gives my brain and my mind permission to look for new opportunities. And so I live by this acronym called PLA. I'll spell it out for you. PLACT. And the P is for permission to do the impossible. The L is to learn with childlikeness. The A is to adapt quickly and apply what you learn. The C is to commit to investing in yourself, and the T is to teach what I learn. And honestly, that for me is how I live my life. And that's what's helped me to give myself permission to try something I've never done before. And so that was going to New York or going to California or going to Brazil. It's just to allow my mind to let me settle there so that I can access greatness that's within me. And then as a high learner, I learn with childlikeness. And so I'm not an expert, but I'm curious enough to want to learn more. And then to adapt and apply what I've learned quickly. I found that when we learn, we have a tendency to, I'll get to that later. And so my motto is to apply what I learned quickly and implement it so that I see transformation in my life. And the only way you see transformation is to commit to doing whatever you've learned and to do it over and over again. And only then teach what you know. And that's where, for me, what gets me up is to say, if I've learned.
For me, all that's great, but until we actually apply what it is we're learning and doing it in a timely manner too, I think that's part of something that I like, when I'm teaching about diplomacy and training ambassadors is, having discernment to know the times that we're in. And this is also biblical, right? It says that the sons of Issachar, they knew the times, and in other translations say they understood what was happening around them and what they had and how that it could influence it. And so that's really where I think, as women, and really anyone who's watching this broadcast, is understanding where you are in your life, what is happening, and now not just in our own individual countries, right? We're looking now from a global perspective of impact. And what we've seen in this last year and a half has affected literally every nation of the world. And so now we can't just retreat into our own little, communities. And there are things, though, positively that we can do in our communities to help bring about change. But this also brought to us a greater awareness of this world house, as Dr. Martin Luther King liked to call it, the world house in which we live, and our interconnectedness of humanity and the mutual connectedness that we have together. So in Mpume, I know you're working in the areas that you also have worked at, and when we first met when you were there at Ishaka, but also with the YMCA, which is another global organization, is actually what brought you here to the U.S. When we met. How did you even begin the journey to want to be a part of something?
I had known about the organization, the name YMCA, but I didn't really understand what the organization's mission was. And so through my church, I was introduced to it by actually my husband, who is my husband now. At that time, he was one of my pastors. And because he had been involved with the YMCA for some years. And when I attended one of their national meetings, I realized that, wow, there are people who literally, do work that makes a difference in the lives of young people. The mission of the YMCA is to empower young people for life, leadership, and service. And I was caught within my heart in terms of what the type of work that happens at the YMCA, and the rest is history. I've never looked back since. I'm still involved with the YMCA, and I absolutely love it. It enables me to make an impact, to make a difference, and it's really part of why I pursue meaningfulness in life, in anything that I do. I loved what Slindile talked about, because I would have mentioned that one of those aspects as well, about learning, being a lifelong learner and being teachable. I think having that kind of spirit it just makes you really, I think, interested in life and willing to learn, acquire knowledge, but also being in a position to pass it on to others. And so, it's phenomenal. I could say so much about the question you've asked.
Wow, I love that. It ties in, like you said. I know we could go for a long time on this topic of learning, but that's also key too. Is passing it on. Equipping others, and actually goes into kind of where I want us to touch a bit on mentorship. Continue learning for yourself, even as a mentor. But a lot of people ask, do I really need a mentor? Like, can't I figure this out on my own? And if I do need a mentor, how do I find one? And who do I determine that I want to mentor me? Share a bit about that. Slindile and Mpume, whoever wants to.
Mpume, do you want to take it?
Yeah. I've been mentored, and I have mentored others. In fact, I'm part of a program right now that is still new, I believe in Joburg, and they have approached me to become one of the mentors within that NGO. And so, I think it's quite important. I think for anyone who wants to grow and wants to live a fulfilled life, we are talking today about an exceptional living. Do only have experience in life. They have too. But the important thing is to face the fear and do it anyway. And to begin to, as you grow in life, to exercise that muscle of confronting what you fear, what is difficult, because it's in the victory, or it's in the overcoming, that you really then begin to realize that actually I can do this. I can move from this level to the next level. Challenge, bring it on, baby.
Oh, wow. What a great way to say, bring it on, And, and Mpume,
Yes.
listening to you share, right? It's about perspective. It's how you see the world through your own lens. And there can be other influences, certainly culture, again, people recognizing, talents, abilities, or gifts that you have, your expertise, your knowledge, but bringing all that together. And Slee, I know you have a lot to share on this as you're also an amazing woman, but also one who seeks to empower other women and to help them see a different perspective, a different view of themselves. Share with us a bit.
Yeah, this mentorship deal is a really big deal. I agree with Mpume 100%. I remember when I was in Redding, California, and I had to pick between 3 mentors. And my first choice, but when you come under a mentor who can stretch you beyond that, that's what you want to look for. So the way I help people is to say, identify that area that is a fear, especially in leadership for you, that you want to grow in, and then pursue that individual. So I remember challenging my one mentee, and they wanted to grow and learn how to speak in public places, but they didn't know how to. And so I challenged them and I said, I want you to go ask the dean for coffee, to go ask them to have a one-on-one for coffee. And they almost freaked out, but I said to them, if you could overcome that small fear, in time, you will be able to overcome greater mountains, because speaking is not just about, it's not just about you. Really, when you're speaking, you're given a platform to shine a light so that you can transform cultures that would impact multiple generations. And so finding a mentor is really a big deal. I wouldn't say take it for granted, but take your time in finding a mentor. So
I love it. So I think we all agree that having a mentor is important in your
right.
life, and that you can also have different mentors, right? Depending on, you can have a mentor for your career path, where you want to go. You could have financial mentors, spiritual mentors, which I know all of us as women of faith certainly know the importance of having that spiritual foundation. And again, being a part too of a circle, of a community, of a family, of sisterhood. And Slee, your Unveiled Women, and Mpume, the Purpose Driven House. These are communities within a larger community, but really to provide, mentorship and encouragement and teachable moments as well. And, as someone said, you can learn from anyone. I mean, you can learn even from people who may not be as brilliant as you think. You learn to, okay, maybe I don't need to make that decision, seeing where they went. And mentors also, again, they see something in you, like to call it like the rough or the rough diamond, right? The uncut diamond, the gem that all of us are, right? So we come with these kind of raw resources. Talk about capital. The value of a raw resource becomes greater when it's refined. But as we know, that refinement process is not easy, right? There's pressure. A lot of heat. I'm wearing this ring here. It looks all nice and shiny, but when the silver is in the ground, it doesn't look the same way. And they apply heat, extreme heat.
There's fire.
The fire, yes, to go into the fire, and then it brings all the dross, the yucky stuff, and then they extract that from the pureness and potential that lies within the metal, and it actually makes it more malleable. And I look at that too in mentors in our lives, is that they're able to see some of the things that we don't always see, and bring that to the surface. Sometimes it's not the reflection we want to see when we look in the mirror. And I'm not talking about how we look, but I mean, think about maybe how we make decisions, or our attitude about things, and they bring that to us. But I believe that is to the end of us being better and becoming better. And there's a poet named Robert Frost who said, there were two roads that divulged into one, and he took it back, one that divulged into two, and he took the one less traveled. And we find that even the people that we look to that are mentors, people that are history makers and herstory makers, they often take these roads that are less traveled, right? That demand of themselves something more often than they've discovered initially. And so I think both of you certainly are testaments of that in how you have navigated your pathways and, gone into different areas that for your family may have been new, for yourselves new, your communities and perspectives and opinions of others. But talk to us a bit about how you've taken areas that may have been a setback or disappointment in your life, because we all have them at some point in our lives. We would have hoped something happened. It didn't go a certain way. How do you work through that? Do you ever overcome that, or do you just have to manage it? How does that work?
Well, I can tell you about not just for myself, but for my entire team as well. Now, that was incredible. I would have never thought I would experience something like that in life. But you know what was amazing? Throughout that particular window period of 6 months, I was so encouraged by the team that I had with me, because they were hopeful, and I think the kind of rapport that we had created, we had built a little bit of trust, even though it was a short space of time. But I think the kind of culture that we create in organizations that enable everyone to feel involved in the process and to feel like they matter and to feel like their opinion and is considered. And I think after we had created that, it made it so conducive for the team to even encourage me as their leader. And in spite of the difficulty and the inconvenience to themselves and their families, I was amazed by their staying power. But over and above that, I was incredibly amazed by how much we achieved during that time. Amazing. And now on top of that, one of my goals this year, we have, I belong to what we call an accountability club. And one of the goals I've set for myself in terms of my personal finances is to keep 100% clean record in terms of, my bills, my payments, my commitments. And throughout that period, there was never a problem at all, in spite of the fact that I had not been receiving a salary. And a salary of a CEO is not just an easy one to just grab hold of. But I am blessed to have a husband that I have, because through him, I was able to sustain my life, my cash flow on a month-to-month basis. And, in spite of the fact that we did not know how long this period was going to be, for me, that was unbelievable. And now, and then, after that phase was done, we had developed during that process, or during that period, a robust strategy in the organization. We had developed a lot of policies and procedures. It was an opportunity to do so much. By the time things were great financially, we were then ready to just move and take the organization to a new place. And it was completely transformed.
Wow.
So amazing.
And Mpume, I know this is great. And Slee, I definitely want you to talk about this, because Mpume just touched on it a bit about there's different kinds of change, right?
Yeah,
Change that happens in us, there's change that happens to us. And
right.
oftentimes, and there's change that we make happen, but oftentimes we think of change that happens to us as negative, right? Because we weren't expecting it. But
Yeah,
oftentimes, as Mpume shared, she had to go back with this change that happened to she and Solomon Z and rework some things, restructure
yeah.
some things, get new tactics and strategies. So please share with us, how change can actually be beneficial in what we do and not always looked at as negative.
Absolutely. I'm going to take it in a personal light in the sense that I am not married yet, like Mpume. And like a lot of women, you are always waiting on God for your promise. And a lot of us, we get disappointed because we have not yet seen that promise or that dream or that dot, you fill in the blank, fulfilled yet. And so for me, I get excited when change happens because change means I get an opportunity to learn so that I can expand and go farther. I was not one to fear failure. Failure was always an opportunity for growth. I was more afraid of success because of the potential that I knew I had. And so, what change does is it forces you to access what's great within you. That's what change does. Because when you're in a place where you don't know anybody, you are forced to learn the language, learn how to communicate, how to connect, build relationships. You're forced to work on muscles that you did not even know were there. And you are, for me, when I go internal, I don't go internal to look at setbacks. I go internally to research, to look at the past long enough to pick up what it is that I need to pick up and then just turn and run with it. And so for me, change means growth. Change is exciting. Change just means there's a new season. Change means I get an opportunity to not just run 1 mile, but 10 miles. I used to be a runner, so I know what it means to just go for it. When you're training for a marathon or when you're training to sprint, it's a different kind of training that you're doing. But through it all, your body will change, your mind changes, what you eat changes, your relationships change. All of a sudden, you're not necessarily just coming home and sitting down and watching TV. You're aware that you have a marathon, you've got to train, there's something that has to happen. And so what change does is it almost like it feeds your mind to want to learn, to want to build. And so for anyone out there who's afraid of change, I just say go for it. Change will only open doors for you. Change will elevate you. Change will actually bring you to the place where you're meant to be. Some of us are very comfortable in where we are because we're comfortable playing small. And I'm one of those individuals that says change is good. You're not meant to play small. Change will allow you to expand your capacity. And as we're talking about living, exceptional living is allowing yourself to change so that you can be a better person.
This is so exciting.
Wow.
Wow. I love it. Okay, so I told everyone before watching this broadcast that we're only going to bring you the best. And today, in Mpume and Slindile, this information that you've shared, just this practical but sage insights for living an exceptional life, from finding mentors to keys to your journey to not being afraid of change, and that change is not always bad or negative, right?
Right.
Because the reality is most of us kind of like some of the results of change eventually. Like I remember when the cell phone first came out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Really, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
But some of us who may be watching, they may do. But just think about the different apps and things that have come, right? So even Pastor, like you can literally go into your phone and have food delivered to you. You
Right.
could be in one place, and go into your phone, tap an app, and a car will arrive to you. That's change probably that we didn't anticipate much. And then at first it's like, I don't know this person, like
Right.
what's happening, but we've grown a bit accustomed to it. And
Right.
so not all change is bad, but also we have to be open to change. Because the reality of it is all of us came in as babies and our whole life is full of change. And we've all had, and we're still changing as we get older, right? Things,
Right.
things, we experience things differently. But being open, being, teachable and coachable, but also I believe to having a spirit of humility, which is a part of the learning that both of you shared earlier. Because, C.S. Lewis says it so well. He says, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So looking for other people, how can I make positive change, not just in my own life, but also in the lives of others? And that when a door is open for me, who can I bring with me? I'm invited into tables or into rooms, who can come with me or who can I share the experience with? Because we all know that you can't just start bringing people in. And so I'm not trying to say that you just bring, a novice into the room or set a novice at the table. But what I am saying is that, through intentional planning and intentional work and mentorship and coaching, we can also look to people who have the potential to follow. And I don't want to say our footsteps, because people think, well, my shoe is a certain size and no 2 feet are alike, no fingerprints, are identical, even with all the, billions of people on this planet. But it's more of, the example that's set, before. And I've seen women, they're certainly within Durbansley and in Johannesburg, who have watched you and learned from you, and I've watched you and I've learned from you. Just incredible, insights to living life. And so I would ask both of you, what would the woman that you are today say to the girl that you were? What would the woman you are today say to the girl you were?
I love that question.
I knew Mpume would
chill out.
I love it.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would say don't be so responsible. Have a lot of fun. And there's actually way more time than you imagine. So that's the one thing. If you are a high responsibility kind of individual, even in the workplace as a leader, you're that individual that, you meet your goals and everything is great. Way back then, I did that. And now I'm thinking, it's kind of okay. Sometimes just don't meet that goal because it's going to be okay. Because what we tend to do, the older we've gotten, is if we're not careful about how we live our personal lives, we can burn out. If we are those individuals that want to live exceptionally, that are given opportunities to be in rooms that we know only God ordained those doors and opportunities, and we're constantly going and people are pulling on us. But if you don't learn just to have fun and you'll make that call tomorrow, it's not a bad thing. It's actually allowing yourself to remember that you're a person first. Before you're your job title, you're a person first before you are anything. You are a daughter loved by the Most High God.
Ooh, I love it. Relax. It's going to be there. Take time for yourself. And this is also biblical, because there are moments, even in Jesus' ministry, where he went away to a quiet place.
Yeah.
David, I think still is the baddest songwriter in history, right? 150 songs that he wrote, and they're still being rearranged. and could you imagine the royalties on that, Mpume, from a music production, like a lot of royalties. But yeah, it is important. I used to think that setting those boundaries for yourself was negative, right? Because you're having to tell people, we have to show them this. So I got this from me. It says no.
I love that. That's huge for you, April.
This is, this is so mean.
That's so good.
I remember Dr. Monroe telling us in a mentorship session, people are attracted to your fruit, to your gift, right? Nobody goes, to a lime tree, mango tree, whatever, and goes, oh, let me just get some of the bark. Now the bark can have some benefits, but most of the time, right, 99.95% is for the fruit. So people are going to be attracted to the fruit that you bring. And, my prayer is that the fruit will be protected by the character, the fruit of the Spirit that we find in Galatians, because that's important, because we know talent can get us to the top of great places, into rooms, open doors, but it's the characters, who we are, our core, that is important for us. But yeah, I got this because, we talk about, can we say no? And I have to just do one.
No.
I love that.
So it actually says no about 7 different ways. And I had to realize that as important it is to sometimes say yes.
Love that.
It's also important to sometimes say no, to protect ourselves. And when we use the word insulation, right? Which is different from isolation. Mm-hmm. Insulation is protecting. We put this in things that we build to keep heat in, keep it cool, but it's also protective of our person. And so there are times when we have to say no. It seems like a good deal, we say no, or maybe later, right? Maybe it's also timing. So, we talked about timing earlier on in the broadcast, because timing is also important when things happen. Because, to have a good opportunity, but at the wrong time, could be just as detrimental as having the wrong opportunity, but at the right time. Like, you have to find the balance, and discernment allows us to do that, and knowing when we are to say no.
I love that.
So, and I think that's part of what brings balance, and it's important to, people say, well, do you ever really found balance, right? All the pundits talk about, leaning in, like Sheryl Sandberg, to, you can have it all, ladies, you can do that. And sometimes, I question, can you? You can, but I think it really comes with understanding who you are, your identity, what you were created to do, who you were created to be. Because first it's about the being before the doing, right? We're human beings. And it's, again, finding that balance and looking back and saying, relax, chill is going to be there. Slee, you're so good at that. I mean, it's in your voice too. You're gifted to even have it in your voice, right? And we call Slee like, oh, this is going. Slee's like, okay.
Silly way.
she is. Like, she is that epitome. She is that epitome.
Just chill.
Just chill.
Right.
So, oh my goodness, we're coming towards the close of the broadcast, but I want you both to share just some closing thoughts, whatever's on your heart, with our audience, about exceptional living. Your thoughts, just whomever wants to go first, but we definitely want to hear from you.
Embrace it.
It's beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Embrace your uniqueness. There is no competition for you, because you are uniquely you.
Yeah.
Slee?
Oh, my heart is so full right now. My value our family, which we should, and value our purpose and everything that God has promised. And we undervalue who we are. I love to hug myself and say, well done, girl. You did it. Thank you so much for taking such good care of me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for trusting my word, and that my word is valuable because you believe that I'm valuable. And so my last thought, as someone who desires to live an exceptional life, is value who you
do it.
Yep.
There's still some things that you don't know everything about, and so you have to be trusting. You have to rest in what you know that God has placed on the inside of you.
Right.
And it brings about peace. And I love it because that is one thing that out of Christ's mouth, he said, my peace I give to you.
That's right.
Peace that the world did not, peace that even sometimes we don't understand. But I think part of, well, I'll say what I believe part of having an exceptional life is having a peace and knowing that we're each uniquely created and again, divinely purposed to fulfill everything that we were created to do and to become. And it's okay, girl. Relax.
It's okay. It's going to be okay.
You'll learn some things. You'll have to unlearn some things. You'll have to relearn some things, but you'll get wisdom.
Yeah.
From it. And again, being proactive and saying, I'm going to do it, being willing, being teachable, coachable, remaining humble, but also being disciplined. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Mpume and Slindile, for all of what you shared today. I hope you are taking notes because I was taking notes, certainly to go back over them. And as we learn, not just to read them, but to apply them quickly.
That's right. Thank you for having us, April.
Yes, the wisdom of when to. So thank you so much. It's in my honor, my sisters, to have you as a part of this program. So thank you, everyone, for joining today. And again, look out for the next episodes. It's going to be incredible. You don't want to miss a single one. Have a blessed day because you were created to be unique and live an exceptional life. God bless you.